All right, folks, welcome to the Stars versus Wild pregame show, game 3. And as you can see myself. You also got King Dawk. He is actually in Minnesota, actually St. Paul right now, live at the Xcel Energy Center, representing for BSU Network as we cover this game 3. First off, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm fantastic, man. Just trying to get this audio worked out. It is loud in this building from the music. The crowd is just trickling in right now. But when I say they are a different hockey crowd than Dallas, this is not your American Airlines Center. I assure you of that. They got Sheboygan sausages in the freaking concession stands and whatnot. But I am seated next to some very prominent Dallas, Fort Worth media luminaries and whatnot. But it is a different scene. But they call this a hockey state. So I see it's a reason why. It's a very cool setting here to where when you're walking through the corridors of the center of the arena, they actually have all of the high school hockey championship banners up in the hallway. So that's a really cool aspect because hockey is just so big in Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how big of a hockey city it is, that pretty much tells you right there. That breaks it down
Yeah,
completely.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we definitely don't have that here in Dallas.
Yeah, you know, I mean, think about it. That's to the extent of if at AT&T Stadium the Cowboys would have, the South Oak Cliff Bears championship up, and and the Carroll and South Lake Dragons and all those teams up as you walking through the stadium, through the corridors, and they don't. So in this arena, like I said, they pay homage or homage, depending on where you come from,
Right.
to the local high school hockey team. So yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So we got game 3 of this matchup, Stars versus Wild. Let's get to a little bit of a recap of game 2, which,
Yeah.
wow, what an amazing game that was from beginning to end. Just a hat trick to goals back and forth to the Wild getting back into it. But give me your thoughts on game 2 and how you felt it went.
Well, in order to do that, we did not have a pregame show to game 2. So we did not get an opportunity to recap game 1. So let's do that first. Let's talk about the marathon double overtime exhibition that we got to see on Monday night. Again, I was in attendance there Monday night,
So, Courtney.
representing BS3 Network, and did not walk out of that building until 1:30 in the morning after all the post-game pressers and things of that nature. So, and that was the game that our one of our studs and Pavelski got knocked out of the game. He's in concussion protocol right now. A fight ensued. When I say in the arena, when he got hit, the entire crowd collectively go woo, and then when I say his body was literally parallel to the ice, and as bad as my knees are, I jumped up out of my seat. And it's like a choir director had actually told us to stand up because we stood up simultaneously, the entire arena. And that's when Max Domi rushed in with the fisticuffs and started laying them down on Duma. So that game got very heated. It carried over. Again, the Stars lost game 1 in double overtime, and it carried over into game 2. It's a very physical game, as we knew it would, but the Stars actually were able to get the better of them and out physical them. They started very, very fast. They got up to a 4-1 lead. Minnesota answered really, really quickly, and they scored 2 goals in 11 seconds and made it 4-3. And then the Stars punched back. We had a total of 6 goals in the second period, which some hockey games, you're not going to get 6 goals in 4 overtimes.
Right, exactly.
But to get 6 in the second period alone tells you what kind of firepower this was. So let me just say this. If you've watched those Rocky movies and about the 4th or 5th round of the fight, they hit that music where it goes doom, where the fight is on now. They done got serious, so The fight is on here, and you can feel it in the arena. You can feel it throughout the town.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you, Courtney, for tuning in. He says playoff hockey is so good. It is, and honestly,
Yeah,
I did not realize how good it was. I think I underestimated playoff hockey, and now I'm almost feeling this more than NBA playoffs right now. I
yeah,
haven't watched the
yeah,
full
man.
NBA playoff game at all, but I've
Yeah,
watched two Stars games, so that'll tell you that the energy is crazy. It's electric. And going back, yeah, to that game one, I'm watching the game and I see Joe go down, Pavelski, and it's like, wow, what was the response going to be? And they responded extremely well going into game two. You could tell they were aggressive from the beginning. Watching some of the press conferences, hearing Coach talk about how they wanted to be aggressive, they wanted to focus in, and a lot of the players were like, "Yeah, this is playoff hockey. You know, you got to
right,
respond after being literally, punched in the mouth. You know, how do you come back?
right.
How do you respond?"
Right, no doubt. And this is, make no mistake about it, this is a national story now.
Mhm.
After the hit in game one, it has been debated and rated by the pundits nationwide on whether or not the hit was dirty or not. Now, of course, Coach Pete DeBoer, he said, hey, it's playoff hockey. We got the best officials in the world. They reviewed it and determined it was not a dirty hit. So it wasn't a dirty hit, you know. But what you have to protect against as a squad is you got to make sure because hockey is one of those retaliation sports.
Oh yeah,
You know, just like in Major League Baseball, if you hit our cleanup hitter with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, you better believe when your cleanup hitter gets up there, our pitcher is gonna hit him square in the butt cheek with the ball, right?
right.
And so retaliation is big. Back in the day, if you remember those games with the Lakers and the Celtics, and if Kevin McHale, swiped Magic or James Worthy, you better believe Kurt Rambis, when they come back down the court, he gonna knock the shit out of Larry Bird, or Danny Ainge.
Right.
So that's kind of how it goes in hockey. Retaliation is the name of the game, but you got to be careful because you can get your mind wrapped up and caught up into doing nothing but retaliating, and you don't play skills hockey. And I'm telling you right now, between the Stars and the Wild, the Dallas Stars are the more skilled team. Okay, they got more speed on the skates with their young kids, Rope Hintz and Wyatt Johnston, and big Jamie Benn, when he gets rolling, he still got some speed as well.
Yeah.
So the Stars are the more skilled team. However, the Minnesota Wild is the most physical team. And they took the sixth most penalties in the league this year. So they are a very physical team. And in fact, remember I said it's a national story because of the hit. Well, the coaches after game two started taking pot shots at each other in the press as well. To where Pete DeBoer says, yeah, we kind of expected him to come this way. And Coach Sevenson took it a little personally when he responded, during a press conference. So yeah, it's like I said, this series is national. The game is on, and I say Sevenson, it's Dean Evanson is the head coach. And what's
Yep.
great about this series and what adds to it is the fact that Suter, who is with us now, okay, he played 9 years. Ryan Suter, our defenseman, he
Yep.
played 9 years for the Minnesota Wild. Okay.
Wow.
And the gentleman that we won a championship with in Dallas in 99, Mike Modano, is a consultant for the Minnesota Wild. Why is that the case? That's where he's from. He came to Dallas as a Minnesota North Star when they relocated as a franchise.
Okay.
So when I say there is a lot, Bill Guerin is the general manager of the Minnesota Wild. He was on the Dallas Stars championship team, which is why he got Mike Modano to be his consultant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a lot of crossbreeding, let's just call it, between these teams,
Right.
especially even if you had nothing but the fact that Dallas came from Minnesota and now are in Dallas. So imagine if the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens played in the AFC Championship game. That's the kind of in mixing that there would be between those franchises. So
Yeah.
it is just the way it is, man.
Yeah.
And the way this series has gone, I would not be surprised if the Wild took a higher position in terms of our chief rival in the league right now. The Avalanche, the St. Louis Blues, they have that title, but again, the way this series is going, and I expect it to go 6 or 7 games. Oh, it is not going to be pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the last game you had Mark Andre
Flurry.
Flurry,
Uh-huh.
in goal, in net, and he
Yeah.
just he had a horrible
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of talk about this, that he's older and that they should have went with Gustafson, but
Uh-huh.
instead they went with Mark. So I think that was a little bit of a head scratcher, if you will. But I was listening to the fan, and they were really talking about how they kind of switched it up when they should have went with the hot hand, and I think that could possibly backfire. Give me your thoughts on the goalie for the star.
No doubt.
Wild.
And being from Dallas, we are very used to controversy with the head coach, right?
Right.
See, Jason, what's Carrot Top's name? Cowboys
Jason
coach. I done
Garrett. Yeah,
forgot it.
Jason Garrett. The
Jason
Clappers.
Garrett. See Jason Garrett. See Jason Kidd. Right. We are very comfortable in head coach controversy in game day management. So yes, Dean Evison. He played the veteran. So in game one, Philip Gustafson saved 91 shots. Okay, mind you, this is double overtime, so he saved 91 shots, and you set him in game two. Now, in fairness to the coach, that's what Minnesota has done all season. They have alternated their goalies. They consider themselves a squad that has two capable goalies. And
Mhm.
no shade to Marc Andre Fleury, he is a Hall of Fame goalie. Okay, if his career ended today, in 5 years, he's going into the Hall of Fame. No question, first ballot. Okay, but
Yeah.
he's long in the tooth. Gustafson is more like Jake Ottinger in the sense that he's a young stud.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk in terms of whether, because of course Gustafson is starting tonight, and so the thought is if Gustafson wins tonight, what are you going to do in game four? Are you going to alternate again, or are you going to stick with the hot hand?
Yeah.
Typically in the NHL playoffs, to your point, they generally stick with the hot hand in terms of goaltender.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So big shout out. So, star up to Rope Hintz with the hat trick last game. And it just seemed, like I said, they were just extremely aggressive. You could tell. I think there was a difference. And from game to game, like the coaches and the players have been saying, this is going to be an entertaining matchup from beginning to end. Some of these teams match up well. But I'm not a homer in this, but I'm gonna give the edge to the Stars if you just look based on paper, how well they're stacked up at each position. So let's talk about some guys to watch for tonight. I know obviously Jason Robertson is probably one of them, and Ottinger being from Minnesota, he was jokingly saying, "Hey, I'm coach told me not to give too many tickets out, because your fam is definitely want to be in the
Right.
building." So let's talk about some players to look forward to tonight.
Yeah, before we do that, let me give a shout out to my boy Richard Grant there. He's in the
Yeah.
chat room, says Go Stars. He's been watching and following BS3's network coverage on Twitter, on Facebook, on our podcast. So not only does he follow all BS3 network podcasts, but he's definitely been tuned into our Stars coverage. So shout out to Richard Grant. Been knowing him for quite some time. Real good dude. Um, yeah, so players to look out for. Of course, you have to start with Rope Hintz. Rope Hintz, who scored the hat trick, and being when the hat trick was scored, if you watch the game in hockey, when they score a hat trick, they're throwing hats on the ice.
Literally.
So the officials, the game officials, had to pick up all those hats off ice, and they just accept it as part of the sport. They don't give
Oh yeah.
any penalties or penalize the team or players for it. They just quietly skate around picking up the hats. They put them in a big trash bag, and believe it or not, they donate them to a local charity. So some
Wow.
DFW local charity got let me see if I can put this in a very professional manner. They got a shitload of hats donated to them the other night. So rope hens is somebody you got to look out for. Again, let me give a shout out to the little known Dallas Stars player. He scored 2 goals tonight. Excuse me, the other night. His name is Evgeny Dodonov. He is a right winger, and he scored 2 goals the other night. And those were his first 2 NHL
Right,
playoff
right,
goals.
right. Real
Okay, so
quick, real
that's
quick. Let me say
big.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were saying how excited they were with him getting those 2 goals, and he's been in the league for a while actually, but I think this is really just his first opportunity. So yeah, coach was excited about that, and the players were. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And defenseman Thomas Harley, this is a guy that was pulled up a little later in the season, and the team is just raving about not only his defense, but he has been contributing on offense as well.
Mm-hmm.
So Thomas Harley has been doing very well. So let's look out for him. Of course, like I mentioned, Rope Hintz, Mason Marchment has done a great job this series as well. Of course, Robo and Jason Robertson, Max Domi, the steely-eyed veteran. That's going to be your heavy. You're going to need him to get physical with folks. Him and Jamie Benn have got to be physical. Miro Heiskanen, he's a young stud, right? He's got all kind of speed in the world. He is one of the top defensemen in the league. Hakanpää, his name's Yanni Hakanpää. He is a defenseman as well. Our defensemen, we got some bad defensemen. Our defensemen contribute quite a bit on offense, and they are solid defensively. In fact, we were ranked very highly in our penalty kill this year, but it doesn't matter. All the names I've named, it doesn't matter. I can name those names and 10 more. The number one player for the night who you need to stand on his head is goalie Jake Ottinger. He's got to serve well to his hometown crowd here and literally stand on his head and save as many shots as he possibly can. Because if he doesn't have a good game, the Stars won't win.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, that is the key. And this is one of those sports similar to soccer where the goalie is so important. If he has a bad game, the rest, it kind of falls in line, and the game can go either way based on how they play. So definitely, Jake Ottinger is a huge part of tonight. And what better way to do it? His first, his first playoff game back home. I think he's going to definitely rise to the occasion, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And Thomas Harley, I think they talked about during one of the press conferences, how he was called up and they wanted to give him some run. So I'm assuming that's who they were talking about in the recent press conference. Coach wanted to give him some run towards the end of the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Thomas Harley, he was not ready earlier in the year, so it's really unusual for a kid who was not ready earlier in the year and needed to, go down in the lower levels and try to work on some of the particular aspects of his craft. And one of the things that he said is that he goes, at this level, he goes, players are at the place they're supposed to be at when they're supposed to be there. He says it's not like that at other levels. He said you can catch guys slipping. He goes, you ain't going to catch anybody slipping here. They're going to be where they're supposed to be 99 times out of 10. 99 times out of 100. He goes, now, if you catch them not in your spot, he goes, that's when you have to take advantage of it. He said, but you even have to be smart as to how you take advantage of it. Because he said that was part of his problem. He'd see somebody out of position and always go try to take advantage of it. And he's like, sometimes you can't do that. You got to let him make it. He's like, okay, he's out of position, but I got to let him make it. You got to set up for when you catch him out of position to make him pay for it, So, yeah, Thomas Harley is done well. And as I mentioned, defenseman, I cannot go without saying Xcel Lindale. Xcel Lindale is one of the cool. Hey, I wish I had a name like Xcel Lindale. If my name was Xcel Lindale, I have 7 wives. You hear me? So Xcel Lindale, he's had a big game. He's one of those guys that he may not light up the stat sheet, but he is a integral part of what the Stars do in their success.
Yeah, yeah. And so, game coming up tonight at 8:30 Central. That's going to be on Valley Sports Southwest, TBS, and 1310 The Ticket, 96.7 if you're in the Dallas area. I want to give a shout out to Saad Youssef, which is actually writer for the Athletic, and he's actually sitting next to Dawk tonight. So we are definitely in the building with some heavy hitters for the Stars. So looking forward to tonight. Let's give a prediction on what the score is. We both agreeing that the Stars are going to win, but what's the prediction you think on the score?
Wait a minute. Are you sure we both agreeing that the Stars going to win?
Yeah,
I'm
I would
thinking
think
this
so.
series is going to go 6 or 7, and I'm not so
Okay.
sure that's going to be the case.
Okay.
They're going to have to withstand a onslaught early on because I would imagine the crowd is going to be at a fever pitch. The Wild getting dominated like they did on Wednesday night. I'm thinking they're going to come out fast and furious. So I think this is going to be a tough one. You know, I think it's not going to be. If I had to predict, I don't think it's going to be as high a scoring game as it was the other night. And I'm thinking we're going to get more of another 3-2, 2-1 type game. So I'm looking for a one goal kind of contest. And I hate to say it, and I hope I'm wrong, but I think the Wild go up 2-1 tonight. Believe it or not, because again, this being their first game at home. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm looking for them to go up 2-1 tonight.
Okay. Okay. And I hope you're wrong too. 100%. That's fine. All right. So,
you're not going to get the homer. You know, this isn't your Cowboys homers here. You know, we're going to give it to you like we give it to you, you know. But like I said, it ought to be a good game. And hopefully Otto has a fantastic game in net. And he keeps the puck out and we get it in.
Yes. Yes, sir. All right. So, game 3 tonight. Last thing I do want to say is with the hit that was done on Pavelski, you know, one thing they were talking about on the fan today is that the retaliation may not happen during the playoffs because the stakes are so high. You don't want to risk it. So they said if they end up playing probably next year, the first game, as soon as they come in, they're dropping the gloves and they're going at it. So I think that was it. That was an interesting fact about this series. Even though there's definitely some bad blood, I don't think the retaliation is going to happen quite yet.
Yeah, well, trust me, Max Domi tried to get his retaliation right then and there because that sucker flew in and started throwing blows, you know. But that's correct. Stakes are too high. You don't want to mess around right now. You want to get wins. You want to advance to the second round so we can get Joe Pavelski back. And again, our thoughts and prayers out to Joe and getting him back. And, Coach had mentioned him and said he's looking better, sounding better. So, but still in concussion protocol. So hopefully we'll get him back sooner rather than later because he's a big part of what the Stars do.
Definitely. And he did not travel with the team. Coach has been giving Pete DeBoer has been giving some updates every day. So yeah, looking forward to it. Dawk will be covering. He'll be live tweeting. So King Dawk, you can see right there. BS3 Sports. We'll be sharing it out, and we'll have some post game video probably tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. And
you gave a shout out to Saad Youssef a second ago. He just pulled up next to me, so I won't be live tweeting. I'll just be retweeting Saad Youssef's post. He says all the good stuff anyway. So I'm gonna ride his coattails as long as I can. Okay. So whatever I say that sounds good, I got it from Saad. Okay. So again, hey, make sure y'all follow him too at The Athletic. It is worth the price of admission. So subscribe to The Athletic, follow Saad, give him a big what's up from BS3 Network. I promise you he's worth the follow, man. And a good dude too at the end of the day, which again, if you follow BS3 Network, you know we like collaborating with people who are just good people at the end of the day.
Yeah. All right, so we're signing off. BS3 King Dawk. I'm going to hit you guys with a quick promo as we get into game number 3 that the Stars put together. And we will be back hopefully on Sunday with another pregame, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in.
Go Stars.
Resilience. It's the ability to recover or adjust to misfortune. In the wake of a heartbreaking overtime loss in Game 1, and playing on in the absence of one of their leaders, the Stars' resolve powered through with an offensive exhibition of excellence.
Short-handed, Rope hits, score! Got score! Another power play goal for Dallas. Score! Dodonov second. Another breakaway, Rope hits, scores! Man, they're going berserk in here now. The hat trick for Rope hits. The Stars fans let them fly. The Stars do indeed respond and tie this series at 1 game apiece.
In a series full of storylines, the scene now shifts to St. Paul and resets to a best of 5. Welcome to Game 3.